We begin our journey not with swords, but with fragile pages, scanning the ancient, worn, secret history of the Mongols. It remains the most honest, sometimes brutal, and deeply mysterious window into a world that was largely illiterate. These words are more than ink. They are a portal waiting to be opened by advanced technology and curiosity. We must decode the raw truth hidden within these lines before we dare to take the physical leap backward. The narrative is raw and unvarnished, lacking the usual heroic polish we often find in other historical royal chronicles. With the data verified, we initiate the temporal sequence, preparing to leave the comfort of our modern reality behind. The destination is precise: the harsh, unforgiving landscape of the 12th century steppes, where survival was the only law. We are not just observing history here. We are about to step into the very current of past events. Prepare yourselves for a world without mercy, where strength is the only currency that holds any real value today. The temporal jump is complete, and the cold wind of the year 1162 hits our faces with brutal reality. We arrive at the precise moment of birth on the banks of the Ain River, under a bleak sky. Inside the felt tent, a child named Temüjin enters the world, clutching a significant black clot of blood tightly. The elders whisper nervously, seeing this not as a mere biological anomaly, but as a profound cosmic omen. It is a chilling prophecy that this child will grow to fill the entire world with oceans of blood. His early life is not royal, but a desperate struggle for sheer existence after his father is poisoned brutally. Abandoned by their tribe, his family is forced to survive on wild garlic, marmots, and sheer grit alone. These harsh, unforgiving years forge something harder than iron inside the soul of the young, determined Temüjin. He learns early that on the steppe, you are either the predator or you are the prey, always. The boy who was hunted like an animal begins to learn how to become the ultimate hunter of men. The iron will that would one day break empires was hammered into shape during these long, starving winters. Witness the impossible transformation as the outcast fugitive slowly unites the warring, fractured tribes under his single banner. It is not just charisma. He implements the yasa, a strict code of law that supersedes tribal loyalties totally. Meritocracy replaces aristocracy, allowing talented men to rise regardless of their birth, creating intense loyalty among his followers. By 1206, a massive Kurultai council is held by the headwaters of the Ain River to confirm his supreme position. Here, Temüjin ceases to exist, and he is proclaimed Genghis Khan, the universal ruler of all the steppe peoples. The scattered sand has been forged into a solid brick, ready to be hurled at the settled civilizations surrounding them. This is no longer a rabble of raiders, but a disciplined nation organized for perpetual, highly effective warfare. The energy that was once spent on internal tribal feuds is now focused outward with devastating, singular purpose. A new power has risen in the north, one that the unsuspecting southern empires are woefully unprepared to face. The universal ruler now looks beyond the horizon, his eyes set on conquests that will redefine the world map. Let us analyze the technological marvel that is the Mongol composite bow, the sniper rifle of the 13th century. Constructed from a complex laminate of horn, wood, and sinew, it stores immense energy in a small, portable frame. With a pull weight exceeding 160 pounds, It outranges and outpowers nearly any contemporary Western crossbow. Mongol warriors can fire these weapons with deadly accuracy while riding at full gallop, even shooting backward comfortably. Their entire society is reorganized into a decimal military structure, from units of 10 up to 10,000. This allows for complex battlefield maneuvers executed with telepathic speed, using signal flags and whistling arrows for communication. Each warrior rides with multiple remounts, granting the army unprecedented strategic mobility and speed across vast continental distances. They carry their own supplies, drinking horse blood if necessary, freeing them from slow, vulnerable logistics supply trains. It is a self-sufficient, high-speed instrument of destruction that the medieval world has absolutely no concept of how to stop. This technical superiority, combined with iron discipline, creates the most effective fighting force seen since the Roman legions. The storm breaks first over the Western Xia and Jin dynasties of China, ancient empires grown soft with wealth. Cities that have stood for centuries are suddenly faced with siege engineers adapted rapidly from captured Chinese experts. The Mongols weaponize terror itself, offering a simple, brutal choice to every city: immediate surrender or total annihilation. When the Khwarezmian Shah foolishly executes Genghis's ambassadors, the full fury of the Mongol war machine turns westward. It is not a war. It is a punitive expedition of continental scale designed to erase a civilization completely. Great cities of the Silk Road like Samarkand and Bukhara fall like dominoes, their populations decimated or enslaved brutally. At the mosque in Bukhara, Genghis declares himself the flail of God, sent to punish them for their many sins. The speed of their advance is terrifying. Armies seem to appear out of thin air right behind enemy lines. They use feigned retreats to lure heavy enemy cavalry into lethal ambushes, a tactic that works time and again. By the time the dust settles, the political landscape of Eurasia has been irrevocably altered through fire and blood. We shift our focus now from historical texts to a more enduring record: the human genetic code itself. Modern DNA analysis reveals a startling statistical anomaly that points directly back to this tumultuous period in history. Approximately 1 in every 200 men alive on Earth today carries a specific Y chromosome lineage linked to him. This staggering number translates to roughly 16 million direct male descendants living in the world right now. It is a grim testament to the sheer scale of his sexual conquest and the social structure he established. High-status males in the Mongol Empire had access to vast numbers of women from conquered territories across Eurasia. Their sons were then placed in positions of power, ensuring their own reproductive success and continuing the genetic line. This creates a unique genetic signature that maps perfectly onto the geographical boundaries of the 13th century Mongol Empire. Genghis Khan did not just conquer land. He colonized the human genome in a way no other individual has. His true legacy is walking around us today, often unbeknownst to the carriers of this ancient, warlike bloodline. In the year 1227, during a campaign against the Western Xia, the great Khan falls from his horse and dies soon after. His death is kept a strict secret to prevent morale collapse among the troops and rebellion among conquered subjects. A massive funeral procession begins the long, sorrowful journey back to his homeland, near the sacred Bukhan Kuldun mountain. In a final act of brutal loyalty, every living soul unlucky enough to encounter the funeral procession is executed instantly. They are killed so that they cannot reveal the location of the route or the news of the Khan's passing. Upon reaching the burial site, legend says that 1,000 horses were ridden over the ground to obscure the grave. Another account claims a river was diverted to flow over the tomb, sealing it forever under rushing water. The soldiers who escorted the body were then killed by another group, who were in turn killed upon returning. Today, despite modern technology and countless expeditions, the final resting place of Genghis Khan remains one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. It is a silence he engineered, ensuring that in death, as in life, he would never be disturbed by lesser men. The death of the founder does not stop the machine. It merely passes the reins to his capable, ambitious sons. The empire is divided into 4 great khanates, each continuing to expand outward in different directions simultaneously and aggressively. Under Ujeda Khan, they push into Europe, crushing Christian armies in Hungary and Poland with terrifying ease and speed. The speed and brutality of their conquests lead many Europeans to believe they are not human, but demons from hell. They are referred to as Tartars, a pun on Tartarus, the mythological Greek abyss of torment and suffering. To the medieval mind, this level of destruction could only be explained as a direct, divine punishment from God. There is a very real possibility that they will push all the way to the Atlantic Ocean, extinguishing Western Christendom. Only the timely death of Ujeda Khan requires the generals to return to Mongolia for a new election, saving Europe. Meanwhile, other campaigns push deep into the Middle East, Persia, and southern China, continuing the relentless, bloody expansion. The world is shrinking under the hooves of their horses, connected by a network of blood, commerce, and fear. We arrive at a pivotal moment of cultural catastrophe, the siege of Baghdad by Jenghis's grandson, the ruthless Hichlugga Khan. Baghdad is the glorious center of the Islamic Golden Age, a city of priceless libraries, scholars, scientists, and philosophers. The Caliph foolishly underestimates the Mongol threat, refusing to surrender and failing to prepare the city's defenses adequately. When the walls are breached, a week of unimaginable slaughter and destruction ensues that shocks the entire civilized world. Hundreds of thousands of civilians are massacred in the streets. The irrigation canal system that sustained the region is destroyed. The magnificent House of Wisdom, containing centuries of human knowledge, is razed to the ground, its contents tossed into the river. Witnesses famously record that the waters of the Tigris River ran black with ink from the books and red with blood. The Caliph himself is wrapped in a carpet and trampled to death by horses, ending the 500-year Abbasid Caliphate. This event marks a psychological and cultural blow to the Islamic world from which it will take centuries to recover. The light of the Golden Age is violently extinguished, leaving a shadow over the region that lingers for generations. The Mongol juggernaut seems truly invincible, rolling southwest towards Egypt, the last major bastion of Islamic military power remaining. Hichlugga sends terrifying envoys to Cairo with a standard letter, demanding immediate submission or facing total, inevitable destruction. The letter reads, "We have destroyed all who have resisted us. We are the armies of God upon his earth." But in Egypt, they face a different kind of enemy. The Mamluks, a warrior caste composed of highly trained slave soldiers. The Mamluk Sultan, Qutuz, takes a bold, unprecedented step. He executes the Mongol envoys and displays their heads on spikes. This is an act of open, irreversible war, a declaration that Egypt will choose death on the battlefield over subjugation. Crucially, Hitluga is forced to withdraw the bulk of his army back to Mongolia due to another succession crisis. He leaves behind a smaller force of about 20,000 cavalry under his general Kutbyaka to finish the conquest of Egypt. The Mamluks, recognizing this unique opportunity, mobilize their entire army and march out to meet the Mongols in Palestine. For the first time, the unstoppable force is about to meet an immovable object in the dusty hills of Galilee. The two armies clash at Ain Jalut, the spring of Goliath, in a battle that will decide the fate of the Middle East. The Mamluks, led by the brilliant General Bubbas, execute a dangerous and daring feigned retreat to draw the Mongols in. It is a tactic the Mongols have used to destroy countless armies, but this time it is being used against them. The Mongol cavalry, sensing an easy rout, chases the fleeing Mamluks straight into a prepared ambush hidden in the hills. Suddenly, Mamluk archers and heavy cavalry pours down from the surrounding heights, trapping the surprised Mongol force completely. A desperate, brutal melee ensues, with the Mamluks fighting with the fury of men defending their very last homeland. Sultan Qutuz throws his helmet to the ground, shouting, "O Islam!" and leads a final, decisive charge into the fray. The Mongol general Kutbyaka is killed in the fighting, and his army, for the first time, breaks and flees in panic. The aura of Mongol invincibility is shattered forever in the dust of Palestine, proving they are merely mortal men. The tide of conquest that started on the banks of the Ain River has finally reached its high-water mark and receded. The defeat at Ain Jalut is not the end of the Mongols, but it marks the beginning of their slow fragmentation. The empire has grown too vast, too diverse, and too culturally complex to be ruled effectively by a single central authority. The four great khanates begin to evolve into separate, distinct empires, often warring with each other over territory and resources. In the West, the Golden Horde converts to Islam and becomes deeply integrated into the politics of Eastern Europe and Russia. In Persia, the Ulkhanate adopts local customs and administration, rebuilding some of the very cities their grandfathers had destroyed. In China, Kublai Khan establishes the Yuan dynasty, becoming a Chinese emperor and moving the capital to modern-day Beijing. The fierce, nomadic unity that Genghis forged on the steppe is slowly dissolved by the seductions of settled civilization luxury. They won the war on horseback, but they ultimately lost the peace because they could not rule from horseback forever. Internal strife, succession disputes, and assimilation slowly erode the terrifying edge of the weapon Genghis Khan had created. The great whirlwind that tore across the world begins to dissipate, absorbed by the very cultures it sought to conquer. We close the secret history, the holographic light fading, leaving us alone again with our thoughts in the silent archive. Genghis Khan was a force of nature, a human catastrophe that reshaped the demographic and political map of our planet. He proved that a single, focused human will, forged in ultimate hardship, can bend the arc of history violently. But his story also stands as a stark, brutal reminder of the impermanence of all worldly power and vast empires. The blood dries, the screams fade, the cities are rebuilt, and eventually even the greatest conquerors become mere dust and legend. What remains is the genetic echo in our blood, and the cautionary tale etched into the collective memory of humanity. As we look to the stars and our own future, we must ask ourselves what kind of legacy we are building. Will our own footprint on this universe be one of destruction and conquest, or one of understanding and sustainable creation? The history of the steppes teaches us that the power to destroy is immense, but the power to build is enduring. To keep exploring these echoing corridors of history with us, please subscribe now and ring the notification bell. If this journey into the past resonated with you, leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. Share this documentary with others, so the profound lessons of history can continue to ripple through our modern world.